Everybody. Doesn't miss one of your mountains. He does not miss one of your mountains that you're going through. Well, I'm inspired to preach, and you can do all the other stuff that you do. After that, your offering, tithes and offering, and announcements. You can do all that at the end. I'll try to give you some time to do all that. So I can give you some time to do all the preliminaries on the back end, offering on the back end. I want to take the time to wish all of our fathers a wonderful Father's Day. And I want to say it again, those who are fathers, make sure that you're giving your best for your children. Remember, you're the cause of their coming, and certainly you do not want to leave them in the lurch and overlook them, not only for 18 years, but for 25, for 30, for 40, for 50. And I don't speak something I don't do, because that's what I do. Make it a point to come home. Not because I have to, but because I want to be with the precious children that God has given me, and they are precious to me. Sometimes you hear us going at it, one another, but it's fun and it's enjoyable. I was telling somebody I can spend whatever I want to spend on my household because I didn't have to spend it on attorneys, fees, getting them out of jail, putting up bonds. Any of that have I ever experienced in my household. So when they say they want something, it's okay. I'm daddy. And sometimes they just want stuff from daddy. Not because they need it, but just to see. It's a test to see if they can get what they want from daddy. And so fathers be fathers, and all you deadbeat dads, get up off your rear ends and take care of your children. You enjoyed having them. And you should enjoy taking care of them once they are here. My time is starting now. I have 40 minutes on here. And so to all of your fathers here, I salute you. And those who have been assigned can do it formally at the end of the message. But I want to get this message underway because that song inspired me. One thing I thought about coming down the step, that was my wife's, one of her favorite songs. And I honor her today. As that song was sung, I thought about her. She's deep deeply in my memory. And I could see her on that seat behind Carolyn, just going in, hollering, "Hey!" And I miss her today. 2 Chronicles 7:14. You may not have to turn your Bibles there if you're a Bible scholar, Bible reader. So if you have your Bible, stand. If you don't have your Bible, look on the screen and stand. And because this is written on the screen as King James, in his King James Version. And let's read it together, nice and strong. There are no hard words in here that you have to cough at when you get there. All the words are simplistic in nature, and you will have no trouble reading them. Let's read. If my people shall humble themselves Father, bless this word. Extract from me what you have put there for this service and for those who are watching around the world. May I not be shy in preaching the gospel. May I not ever act as if I'm ashamed of what you have said. But may I speak it with boldness and deliberation, with purpose and with praise. And you will be glorified. I ask this in your wonderful name, in the nombre de Jesus, in the wonderful name of Jesus, who loved us and gave himself for us. And we thank you for it. Gracias, Señor. Amen. You might be seated. Leave the scripture on the screen for a moment. If is a word of condition. It means that you can either do it or you don't have to. God is not a God of pressure and force. He's a God who has said to us, whosoever will, let him come. One of the things that you have in your life is your will. And he has put it in the Lord's Prayer, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. But you have to pray. Jesus said, when you pray, this is what you say. But he doesn't force you to say it. He doesn't force you to declare it. He says, I have given you something that no one can take away from you, although there are forces today that are trying to take away your will. Think of the young lady who is bound in Russia today. They're trying to bend her will and trying to bend the will of the United States in keeping her. The whole Ukrainian war is based on defying wills. We have forces in the United States who are trying to defy your will and trying to pressure you to do something that is contrary to your will. But God gave you your will in the beginning. That's why we see the second verse, Genesis 1, that the earth was without form and void, and God's Spirit had to move upon chaos and whatnot because there was something in play that was not of him. That's not the way he designed the earth. He didn't create the earth with chaos. He did not create the earth with trash and junk and with a destructive mentality. He created the earth, and in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. How do you think what condition was the world in when he created it? And so we see between verses 1 and 2 that the will of some entity came into play that caused chaos and darkness and despair and gloom. And the Spirit of the Lord moved upon the face of the deep. Deep what? Deep darkness. Deep that was contrary to the creative power of God that he put in place when he said, let there be, and there was. He created the heavens and the earth. Created it perfectly. Perfectly. There was another force working, just like you. Your salvation is perfect. But you've got to always fight the devil to keep it that way. There's always a force. When I would do good, evil's present. When you're trying to do your best, when you're trying to live right, when you're trying to live pure, when you're trying to live holy, there's a force that is going on to try to get you to do the opposite. That's why our text says, if my people who are called by my name, my people, and I'm not going to go through this because I'll get stuck, but there are attributes of my people that are in play that is preventing positive things from taking place on the earth. The church is partially responsible for the calamity of the world. What do I mean? If my people would humble themselves, humility is an issue with the people of God, and prayer. If I were to call prayer tonight by the unction of the Holy Ghost, it wouldn't matter about the unction of the Holy Ghost at 6 o'clock tonight. How many would be here? 3? Because prayer is not scheduled into our lives. It's something we do on the fly, on the run, in the car. We talk to God, have mercy, Jesus. You see, I'm going to work. Touch that boss before I get there. But we don't pray. And then the intensity of prayer. If you seek my face, that's an element of time. To seek my face. What is his face? His revelation, his glory, his majesty, all the attributes of who he is. He wants to show you, but he doesn't have time to show you because you don't take the time to seek. What is seeking? You seek me when you've gone after me with your whole heart. We're not wholehearted in our intent and in our pursuit of God. You don't believe it? Look around. There's between my seat and the next row, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 empty rows. There are members that belong there that are not filling them because they don't care anything about seeking. We don't seek God like we seek a job. Of course, we don't seek jobs now because Biden just sent us a check for a while. But we don't seek employment. We don't seek, but yet our stadiums are full. I wonder what percentage are Christian. I wonder what percentage had just left church. I wonder what percentage has bought a season ticket for $900, $1,000, $1,200 and think nothing about it, but won't stand on a $10 line. And then it's not the world that has that issue with that kind of thing. It's the church, it's my people. And then God calls the church wicked. He says, your ways are wicked. Your ways are wicked and they don't even please me. And I'm asking you to turn. Pat, good to see you. Turn, doing all right? From your wicked ways. Turn. You ever been in the car with somebody? They're going straight long, and you say, hey, here's the turn here. And if they're a husband, he just keeps going if a wife is telling him. He just keeps going because he's not going to listen to what the wife has to say. Neither will he ever give her the impression that he has done something that is wrong. So he keeps going, keeps going. And then finally, after 56 miles down the road, he says, you know, I think I should have turned back there. We're not good at turning. Turning does not come easy for us. Going straight forward in our own thinking, our own lives, our own agenda. That's what we want to do. Don't ask me to turn. Don't ask me to change. Don't ask me to go in a different direction, because I've already decided this is the way I'm going, and I'm not going to turn. But what if you were in a car that couldn't turn? Try driving a car that won't turn and see what might happen to you if you don't turn. God said, if you would turn, because we are not prone to turn. There are 4 qualities that he said, I need you to do. Humble yourself, pray, seek my face, and turn. Put the scripture up, because I want you to see this. That he says, then implies it won't happen beforehand. What won't happen beforehand? I'm not going to listen to you from heaven until then. Does that not give understanding to us as to why many of our prayers are not answered? Because we want God to hear before we do. Meet all the necessary requirements. Humility, prayer, revelation, a different direction that we must go. Then will I hear from heaven. God saying, then I'm going to listen to you. Otherwise, if you don't do the 4 things, you're praying amiss. Your prayers won't be answered. I don't care if you do have a prayer partner. If he's just like you, it still doesn't matter. Then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin. How much sin is in our lives because we have shown no sincerity to God by doing the other 4. Lastly, and this is what I want to share on today, I will heal their land. The implication there is the land is sick. You don't heal something that's already okay. The land is sick. Say that. We have sickness in the land that is taking hold in the world, country after country, but I want to deal with the sickness that's in the land, United States of America, Ohio, Cleveland. We have been placed here in Cleveland. Our mission is to heal our land. But are we spiritually fortified, and have we met the necessary prerequisites in order to heal our land? And furthermore, there are things going on in our land that you don't even know going on in our land that creating sickness. There are some things that you didn't even know you had going on in your body until you went to the doctor and had an x-ray. Some people are dead because they never recognized that something was going on in their body. Our land is dying because we don't recognize what's going on in our land. Such as, put up the icon. Here is a figure that looks like what? Fox. If you saw this walk in the church, you say, oh, she's foxy. Now, is that a fox? I don't think it's a fox with blonde hair. So it is in the figure of a fox, but yet has characteristics and traits of a female. A female fox, or is it a foxy female? Well, let me move on, because there's another figure that you can become if you're a male, and this is Joe. He has made the decision to be an alligator. Now, is this just one person or two people in the world, in America, that's trying to be different? Well, let me show you their friends, because they have created a convention that meets every year. It's called the Furry, F-U-R-R-Y, Fandom, F-A-N-D-O-M, Kingdom Fandom. This is a group of people, not just one or two, but the population of this organization is 250,000 strong in the United States of America now today. Individuals who do not believe in their humanity. I didn't give you my subject. I will heal their land. The subject today is sick. Say sick. I think you'll remember that. Sick. Say it again. This is a form of I didn't say nothing, you two. This is just a form of. When you cannot accept who God created you to be, but you consider yourself more animalistic than you do humanistic, that's sick. There was a young lady, they called her by the name, and she said, don't call me that. Call me whatever she was dressed to be. Zebra. My name is Zebra. How do you know what their names are, what they are? Because they dress like the alligator did. He's an alligator, Joe the alligator. Shirley the fox. This is what's going on in the United States. This is what's going on in Ohio. This is what's going on Cleveland. This is what could be going on, church. Could there be church individuals in the church who are playing double roles? They're not sure of who they are, what they are, because they don't listen to God. They listen to all the possibilities about God. How many of our young people are not as intense about God as we were 20 years ago? Today, the thought is it's not necessary. I talked to somebody this week in my own family that says, what we're doing here, I do at home in the privacy of my own home. No, you don't do this. But this generation rationalizes and substitutes what we said was necessary for something that is much, 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 much less than we knew. More so, much less than you can read in the Bible. Forsake not the assembling doesn't exist anymore for young people. Let me go ahead further. Obviously, it doesn't exist for us adults either. Since COVID, God showed the church, all of you are not what you're supposed to be. Anytime 2 years can take you out of assembling together, there's a problem. You don't understand that there is nothing that you can do to substitute the assembling together, because where 2 or 3 are gathered together, I am in the midst. He didn't say he was in the midst of your TV, in the midst of your living room, in the midst of your dining room, in the midst of your bedroom. You laying up there with your dirty... I ain't say nothing. Oh my God. Ooh, I felt God all up under the cover. What you... Don't start. We're making God do a whole lot of things in our generation that is totally contrary. The thing about today's religion is that there is no sacrifice in it.
Come on now, preach.
I'm looking at people who drive 90 miles one way, and gas prices are no less for them than for us.
Amen.
They're paying $5, $6 a gallon like we are.
Yes, sir.
But we can't come around. Gas is so. I'm going to church once a month, child. You know, gas prices. Oh my God! I gotta save gas to get to work. You know, I gotta work tomorrow.
Come on now. Yes, sir.
They sacrificed to get here. And not only today, they were at the party. And then turned around and came back. See, most people that go to the party ain't come to church next day. There's no sacrifice. We've got to compromise today, and we've got to try to make people feel comfortable. If we want a membership, we've got to build a church of comfortability. No sacrifice. No sacrifice in worship, no sacrifice in prayer, no sacrifice in commitment, dedication, faithfulness, certainly tithing, offering, giving.
Yes, sir.
You know, I got to save my children going to school. I got 2 of them going at the same time. Church don't need it. It's not about the church needing it. How about God? Does he need it? Earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. So he certainly doesn't need your little 10%. So he's not testing to see whether you have any money. He's testing to see whether you have any obedience.
Come on, Bishop. Say it.
You hear what I just said? Ask somebody next to you, do you have any obedience to God? So we're living in days of fury. And then there's another group that I'll mention quickly. It's called the NAMBLA, N-A-M-B-L-A, North American Men, Boys, Love Association, where they're a group that comes together that they're trying to make consensual and legal men loving boys and boys loving men. And they're trying to make this a law men-loving boy. N-A-M-B-L-A. Don't what me. Let's look it up. Google. You got your phone. You got it in your hand right now. Google. North American Men Boy Love Association. You got to create an association so you can love a boy. And you're a grown man. Y'all made me swallow. You like that. You like that too much. Okay. You got to create a group so I can love a boy. And I won't go to jail. And now females are doing the same thing, similar. Sick! Come on, say it. Sick! The Bible said there's a way that seems right. You see, we're in the seem right generation. Everything seems right. You cannot turn your TV on and find a program where a man is not kissing a man or a woman not kissing a woman. Natural. Let's represent all. And we have a president that's, he's sweet as he is, trying to get a cabinet of every type of people. Everybody. So when you fill up your cabinet and the governing body with all kinds of mindset, what do you think the nation is going to be? When you got trans this and trans that and trans the other, everything but transportation. What kind of nation are you creating? A nation that forgets God and the principles of God. A nation where the Supreme Court and a justice takes the side of NRA, whether it's constitutional or not. Presidents who are pick people to go on the Supreme Court that's not supposed to be a political organization. But they're rewarded because of their politics and their stance and their help to get me back in. What kind of organization wants guns in the hands of 18-year-olds? We will put guns in the hands of 18-year-olds and protest against mothers who carry children that they need to abort or want to abort. No, keep that child, bring him out, and then we'll kill him. Let him be born. We'll shoot him later. Sick. Our thinking is sick, and we vote men and women in all the time. And they seem to be getting sicker every election. Amen. We're dealing with a whole nation that God says, I want to heal. God said, I've been through this before. Okay. He says, I went through this with Noah. And all the perversion that was with Noah. They were doing the same thing. Men with men and women with women. I've been here before. I've seen this before. And you know what? I was sickened by what I saw. And so I sent a flood judgment to destroy the earth. And out of the earth, I don't know if you can picture this. Out of the whole earth, population of our earth is, I forget the stat, 20 billion or something like that. But just think if 20 billion minus 8 were gone. God got that teed off. upset because he couldn't take anymore. And God is looking today and says, I've been there before. Why don't you learn from the previous generation, the Noahic previous? Why don't you learn? But rather than learning from them, you're getting sicker and sicker and sicker. I promise you this, I put a rainbow in the sky. I will never destroy the earth and everybody on it, but I'm going to hit you in pockets so you still know that I'm God. I'm going to put fires there that you can't even contain. I'm going to put floods there that water never came to that extent before. I'm going to dry up over here so that all your crops and everything wither. You can't even plant a seed that will grow. I'm going to do things in pockets. I'm going to get your attention. You want you're against gun laws? Well, then I'll have some idiotic, brainless young man shoot up 19 of you. You're comfortable in your lifestyle. Oh, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll have somebody come in the grocery store where you shop for food and just start shooting. Or you're at church worshiping one day and some psychopath will come in just with a gun, just because you're worshiping, just because they don't like blacks. I'll have them fire away. How about that? Or I'll do something that you've never seen before, but you'll never think about me when it happens. I'll have Abbott company. I'll infiltrate them and infiltrate poison in their system, disease and infection in their system, so that they can't create any milk for the children. You see, you won't think about me. You'll think that it's Biden's fault. You'll think that it's our government's fault. You'll think that they need to do something about it. So what are they trying to do about it? Ship some milk that's from another foreign country over here so our babies can survive, because they need Similac. They don't need breast anymore. They need Similac. See, I know you don't suspect it's me. Get me that scripture ready. I know you don't think it's me because you don't think that I knew this was coming. You thought that your God, that it escaped my attention, that I didn't know anything about this, that I don't have the answer for it, that I don't have the cure for it. But you didn't read Matthew 24 when I said how miserable those days will be for pregnant and nursing mothers. For at that time there will be great tribulation unmatched from the beginning of the world. Never has this milk issue been an issue from the beginning of the world. And guess what? Until now. And never will be seen again. It's going away.
Come on, Bishop. Come on now.
But you don't associate it with me. You don't hear me through it. You don't hear me talking through it. You've got mothers driving 4 and 5 hours from their city to find it. And it doesn't exist. Why would a mother drive 4 or 5 hours away to get some milk when the people in the area already consumed it? If it's in the area, don't you think they're going to get it? But you drive 4 or 5 hours hoping, in desperation. And then you got to turn back home and drive 4 or 5 more hours with nothing. Don't you know I planned that? Don't you understand? I prophetically declared it to you and you didn't listen to me. But listen now, how miserable those days will be for pregnant. It's a bad time to get pregnant. Tuck it away somewhere for a while. And nursing mothers. I heard somebody say, I ain't doing that now. I take my chances. This ain't the road, is it? Okay. How miserable is it going to be? Not only will you have the pain of birth, trimesters and all that, but you'll also have the pain of knowing that when the child is born, they won't be able to buy any Similac. Help me with those names. Enfamil. Isomil. Earth who? Earth best? Earth best. Can't get no more Earth best, y'all. But how many of you associated what's happening on the news with the prophetic? We don't. It's like the prophetic is over here, and the events of the world is over here, and never the two shall meet. When the prophetic is only explaining what's happening in the earth, but we don't connect the dots. How many times you read that and you didn't even know it was there? How many have read Matthew 24 before? But when the milk crisis came, you didn't know it was there. God is saying, I'm trying to do everything I can to get your attention. And you won't listen to me. I'm coming to a close. Stacy, I'm coming to a close. She used that against me this week. God is saying to us, come and let us return. Come and let us return. Hosea 6:1. Come. If you can see the hand of God, he's saying, come. Come. The hand of God is saying, come. And let us, who us? Us. The us's who say that they know Jesus and who have left him in principle. We still, it's amazing how we can still come to church, but we've left him. We come to go through some form to appease our conscience and ourselves, but the other 6 days and a half, we have left him.
Amen, Bishop. That's so true.
And God says, come. Let us, Mega, return. Yeah. The word return means you have gotten away. You've left. Come, let us return unto the Lord. For he hath torn, he's let us go through some things so we can be healed. He hath torn and he will heal us. Sometimes the doctor has to make you sicker in order to make you well. Sometimes he has to do surgery to get out of you what's wrong with you so you can get well. God said he had torn us so that he can heal us. Some of us are going through stuff right now that we hate, and we're crying out to God, and we're cursing the devil and rebuking the devil. He said, no, you need this torn process so you can be healed. He has smitten. Why? So he can bind us up. You can't be healed with sick stuff in you. Whatever is sick, whatever is wrong with you. Oh, already? Whatever's wrong with you, whatever is wrong inside of you, has to be removed. Nobody likes surgery, but we sign the paper because we don't want to remain or get worse. So we sign, go ahead, take it out. Take out my gallbladder, take out my liver, take out this and that. Why? Because I can live better without the sickness than I can after it heals. My clock says I'm closing. Where do I close? Ooh, I could close on, I think I'll do this. The last scripture, Mark 5. And a woman who had a hemorrhage for 12 years. Look at that. The sickness is dominating her life. The sickness has authority over her life. She's sick, has a hemorrhage for how long? 12 is the number of authority. You look at 12, all the 12s in the scripture, it's a number of authority. And the sickness has dominated her life. When you have a sickness that's in control of your life, you just about give up life because you're no longer in control. You can't plan anything. You can't do anything. You don't know when it's going to hit you. You don't know when it's striking you because it is the dominant force and the dominant factor of your life. 12 years, a hemorrhage. 12 years. That number's not there just because God didn't have another number to pick from. You know he has many, but it's 12 years. He picked an example, and look at this. He let the woman suffer 12 years so he could be glorified. Now, if you don't get anything, understand this, that God will let you go through some things for years. Not one or two, but for years, so he can be glorified. Get the glory out of my life. Okay. You see, that sounds good for God to get glory, but we don't know that glory many times requires storm and thunder and lightning and earthquakes and things that has to unsettle us before he can get glory out of our lives. Look at the words. Look at the words. Look. And she endured much at the hands of many physicians. She endured. The doctors are doing what they're doing now, just taking your money. Oh, they can do. I won't say they are. They can do. They just keep you coming back. What appointment have you gone to? The doctor says, okay, you're good. But he says, go to the front desk and make an appointment. I want to see you again in 3 months. For what? You didn't do nothing this month. I had acupuncture last 2 weeks ago in Atlanta. I won't tell the story. But when she got through, she said, how you feel? I said, the same as before you stuck me with all them needles up in my back and everywhere, in my head and everywhere. I mean, I feel the same. I don't feel no different. Oh, well, sometimes it takes time. Yeah, I understand that. I went on the plane. How you feel? Stuck. No, sometimes doctors, there's a key word, and my father-in-law pointed this out to me, that they practice medicine. They're practicing. When you go to the doctor, he's practicing on you. Amen. I took an x-ray when I came back because I had an attack that I never had pain in my life. But I went to the exam to get an examination, and when I came out, they gave me a report, about 5-6 pages, and said, you have osteoarthritis. And Alana recommended me to a massage therapist of hers. And when I told her that the doctor says, the exam says I had osteoarthritis, she said, that's another word, that's another way the doctor said they don't know what's wrong with you. Really? Really? Yeah. Say it all the time. And of course, as I told you, Stacy said, Daddy, you're 80 years old. What do you expect? Thank you for the faith. But if you don't take your case above the physicians, because the cure comes from the great physician. Oh, let me continue to read. I got to close. Spend all that she had. You don't have enough money in your account to pay doctors. If you don't have insurance, you don't have assurance. Was not helped at all, but rather had grown worse. You going to the doctors, but getting worse. Amen, Megan? Amen. After hearing about Jesus, baby, you better hear about somebody in your life. You better hear about somebody in your life who really has the answer to your situation. But that's the problem. Oh, let me go on. After hearing about Jesus, she came up in the crowd behind them. You see, we have lost the ability to press through. It's crowded, child. How many of us go to a restaurant, and if we got to wait, child, let's go somewhere else. I ain't said. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. You go to restaurants, or you go to the gas line, 2 minutes, you go to if you have the option to leave and come back, what are you going to do? Have you ever called anybody? We'll call you back in 3.5 hours. Push 1, leave your number, or you can stay on the line and wait. Let me take the chance to wait. After a while, the music don't help you to wait. You get mad at the music and the doctor and everybody. You see, because we're not made to wait.
Right.
We're not made to press. We're not made to sacrifice. We don't want to sacrifice. We don't like that word. We take it out of our vocabulary, out of our lifestyle. We don't sacrifice anything anymore. If it's not convenient, what are we going to do? Our microwave went out this week. I didn't know that I did so many things with a microwave until it wouldn't microwave no more. Microwave, you're supposed to microwave. Why are you not working? We are a microwave generation. We don't have time to put the pot on the stove and let it. We don't have time to do all that. Hurry up. Hurry, I got to go. Gotta go. Gotta go. We put it on 5 minutes. Touch it, it's done. Hurry up. Heat up. Gotta go. Got things to do. We don't press. She came up in the crowd behind. She pressed through something. Tell somebody, you got to press through something. And she touched his cloak. She pressed through to touch him. He didn't make his cloak and his hem convenient for her. Are y'all hearing me?
Yeah. Yes, Bishop.
That she didn't find his cloak as being just hanging out there for her to touch.
Right.
She had to press through crowds. She had to get low. She had to humble herself. She had to push through something. Come on, tell somebody, you got to push through something. For she thought, what is your thought life like? She thought, if I just touch his garments, I shall get well. That's what she thought. How are you thinking? You see, your thought life might determine your healing. Your thought life might determine your deliverance. Your mind has to be healthy before you are. Lord help me. Y'all not hearing me. You're not hearing me. If you think sick, you are. You'll be that way. Child, I don't know if I ever get over it. You won't. I had this cough for 7 months. Leave me alone. You see, you've got to think differently. She thought that I shall be made well. You got to think about your healing. First of all, you got to think about your sickness. You got to accept the fact that you need to be delivered, healed, made whole. You got to think that way. Because if you don't think that you're sick, you'll stay sick. You'll never be whole because you think you're all right. Ever since I came up, I was in a hotel. I don't know what was wrong with that hotel. That's right. you never will overcome if you start blaming looking back and blaming. It must have been the I had the window open the other day. I don't know what kind of air that was. But she thought, I can be made whole. Huh. Let me get to the bottom line. Put it up. I'm closing. The disciple said, you see the multiple pressing in you, and you say, who touched you? See, the touch was different than just rubbing up against him. You can either rub it up against him or you can touch it. He said, who touched me? And the disciple said, all these people, they were rubbing up against you. But he wanted to know who touched me. Lord have mercy. Y'all don't get it. All right, let me go. I've got to go back to a scripture that I didn't get because I want to end with this. John 5:3, scripture before that. I'm going to read it quickly. Here a great number of disabled people used to lie. The blind means they lay down. The blind, the lame, the paralyzed. One who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. One day I'm going to preach on that number. 38 years. And when Jesus saw him lying there, did you get that? When Jesus saw him lying there, whatever state you're in, Jesus sees you. He sees exactly what you're in. He sees exactly your condition. He sees your problem. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked, what did he ask? What did he ask? You see, America, let's start there, has lost its want to. Jesus says, do you want to get well? America has lost its want to. Our nation does not want to get well. We don't want to get better. We think better is getting worse. And getting worse is getting better. We don't want to get better. And Jesus is asking our nation, he will never force you to get better. He will always say, do you want to? Is it your will? Is it your desire to get better? Is it your will to change? Is it your will to come out of what you're in? Do you want to? Do you want to? You've got to have a want to attitude to come out of whatever sickness is plaguing you. And he won't begin the process until you acknowledge, I want to. You've got to say to God, I really want to come out of this. He won't condemn you for being in it, but he will condemn you for not wanting to be out of it. do you want to get well? Or do you want to remain sick? Does this country want to remain sick? And I tell you, in my heart, I'm not a prophet of doom. But I am scared for this country because we are number one in the world. You're number one, you're a major country, have been this for a couple hundred years, and you're not mentioned in prophecy.
Come on, you better say it, Bishop.
You're nowhere to be found in the Bible. There's Egypt, there's Libya, there's Put, there's Magog, there's Gog, there's Russia. Every other major nation is in the Bible, and we are number one. We are the most resourceful, technological nation on the earth, and you read the Bible, and God is treating us like we don't exist.
Come on, Bishop, that's true.
Maybe it's because we don't. Which means that our lawmakers, our congressmen, our statesmen, our mayors, our governors, our presidents, our vice presidents, the staff, and whatnot are making decisions that take us farther and farther and farther away from God. And after a while, we don't exist because he who knows and to do good and does not, to him it is a sin. And the person that knows to do and doesn't do, it's to him a greater sin than the person who's out in the streets who don't know any better. We have shared the gospel with the world. And look at us now. We don't represent the gospel that we put out there at all. God has to bring judgment on this nation. Has to. H-A-S-T-O. Has to. Has to. Has to. Because they in Nineveh, if they could just heard the message that Jonah was preaching, they would have been spared. If they could only hear it. But we're carrying it. We're promoting it. We've sent the gospel around the world, and look at us now. Our land is sick, and we don't want to be healed.
Come on, Bishop.
We don't want the healer. We don't want him. We don't want to hear about Jesus. We're looking for a perfect presidential candidate. That's Jesus.
Right.
There's none other, but we don't want him. We'd rather have 75 million people would rather have somebody that will lie to us and they will believe. Our own congressman from the state of Ohio this week said, hogwash on the January 6th committee. They mean nothing. They're telling the same story they've always told. It means nothing. There are no Republicans on that committee to cross-examine. It means nothing. There are senators and congressmen, lawyers, didn't exist. Lawyers who are telling President Trump how to get around it.
Right.
Giuliani giving him advice and he can't even stand up straight. You got an inebriated attorney, drunk as a skunk, giving you advice of how to stay president and remain as a president from a vote that you didn't get. We are sick. And we have never been sicker. We've never had a president in office to do what this one has overtly done for 4 years, hour by hour by hour by hour by hour. He makes Biden look boring. The land is sick. And I leave you. Who am I giving this mic to? Okay. I leave you. The land is sick. What is the church going to do about it? God said, if my people, come on, if my people, called by my name, will do what? Humble themselves, pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, then I will heal their land. Forgiveness, yes, in there. I will forgive them. You see, it's not just the politicians that we need to blame. Let me bring it down to your house. How many of you men are praying with your family every day in your house? You don't have to raise your hand. That's your land.
Yes, sir. Make it plain, Make it plain.
And if you got kids going crazy and you and the wife not getting along and whatnot, it's because you are violating the principles that God put in place to heal your land. On your job, that's your land. That's your workplace. God says, I want you to have peace there. But you got to pray. You got to pray. Not complain. Pray. Seek my face. Seek my face. Seek my face. Turn from your wicked ways. If you do that, church, then what song did we sing last service?